Good morning, everyone. I'm Rachel Symes. I'm the head of early years here at the Australian International School. Hopefully you all know that. And with me today is John Wolford, who is the head of aquatics here at the Australian International School. Welcome to our session, and we're super excited. I know our Swim Hub staff are just champing at the bit to get back in the pool with our children. So this morning's information session, we are recording it for those families who can't attend. And over to the side, you will see a chat button where you're able to generate your questions into the chat button, which will just be easier than trying to turn your microphone on and off. And we have the gorgeous Mr. Romy, who is the silent attendee in here, who will be monitoring the chat box with your questions coming through. So as we see them coming up, we may stop and answer those questions throughout, but we have a dedicated time at the end of our session this morning for all of your questions, which I'm sure you will have saved up for us today. So welcome to Swimming in the Early Years. Now, our goal is for children to be able to save themselves should they fall into a pool or a body of water. That's our big goal that we want for our children. Now, what I'd like to share with you first is how this links to our early years philosophy. And we've written this statement over the past few years and refined it and work with all of our teachers and teacher assistants around what we believe in the early years. And I thought it would be a nice opportunity to share with families today who have joined us. And I've highlighted some of the key parts there, but we're always holding the child at the heart of every decision that we're making and the learning process. And swimming for us is such a big part of the learning process because they are essential life skills to learn to swim. Swimming is a strong foundation in swimming is a strong physical foundation for our children. Participating in swimming lessons from a young age can help prevent or overcome fear of water, and children at a young age are able to progress at their own pace in our swimming program. But my big takeaway here is the research that's coming out around the benefits of swimming. It's actually being labelled as the new brain food for young children. So there's a study from the Griffith Institute of Educational Research in Australia, and it's found children who have learned to swim at a young age have advanced physical and cognitive abilities. And research showed that 3 to 5-year-olds who participate in swimming lessons scored higher in mathematics, reading, oral expression, story recall, visual motor skills, and understanding directions. So definitely that is, for me, when there's research and evidence behind why we're doing what we're doing, that's a really good reason for us to really look at our safe management measures and be able to get children back in the pool. I also wanted to just share too, love, care, respect. Definitely, I wanted to emphasise that all of our Swim Hub staff embrace love, care and respect and work beautifully with all of our children. But to doing this respectfully, our swim program will be delivered differently because of the safe management measures that are in place. Now, for parent perspective, it will be different because you're not allowed on site or to be able to watch the swimming lessons in progress or to help young children to get changed. So what I would like to suggest today, we're going to go through the logistics of what it will look like. John's going to walk you through the specifics of the lessons and the design intent of the lessons for your children. But it will come down to parent choice as to whether your child participates in swimming or not. And it's your level of comfort in terms of the safety measures that we have in place. So first of all, what I'd like to talk about with you is our schedule and what does that look like. So we've brought swimming back for, first of all, this term, our first swimmers will be our 4-year-old students. And then our 3-year-old students will swim at the very beginning of our term 3 next term. It'll be a 4-week block of swimming, and there will be 2 swim lessons in that across the week. Now, for us to meet our safe management measures, we have to split each class into groups of 8. So your child may not swim on the same day as their friend because their group of 8 will be swimming on a different day. The group of 8 children will come down with either the teacher or the teacher assistant to the swimming pool. They will then be split into 2 groups of 4. When they're in those 2 groups of 4, they have a dedicated swim coach in the water, they have a swim coach out of the water, and there's a lifeguard pool deck side as well. So I'm very comfortable with the ratio and how many eyes are on such a small group of students in the pool at any given time. So that hopefully will give you confidence in the level of adult supervision that we have around our pool. Now, if, for example, you opt for your child not to swim, they won't feel left out, they won't feel separate or different, because the other children are back up in the classroom continuing on with their learning as a group of students. So we're actually benefiting from our swim program in terms of reducing numbers in the classroom and having that one-on-one time with children in the classroom, whilst we're having a small group of children swim in the pool at any given time. The class teachers will share with you very soon the schedule, so you'll know exactly when and what day, what time your child will be swimming and going to the pool. And they have done an amazing job of working around that. I would like to clarify here that if you are a 3-day child, then you are definitely dedicated 1 swim lesson a week. If you're a 5-day child, you'll get definitely the 2 swim lessons, and then it just depends on where the other lessons fall. If you're a 4-day child, as to whether you get 1 or 2 lessons. That is the best we can do with the time restrictions that we have, and trying not to kill our swim coaches who are in the pool full-time helping this to happen. So please add your questions as we go along into the chat. And while I'm still checking, I haven't seen any questions pop up there yet. So, or if you'd like to save your questions till the end, you're able to do that as well. So I'm going to hand over to John. He is going to talk about our program, our pool, our cleanliness of the pool, water filtration, all of that information. So thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. So that first photo we can see on the left-hand side, that's my son, James, who's now 4. He started swimming at the Swim Hub when he was 3 months old. So ELV's just turned 4. And we obviously had a bit of a hiatus with our swimming lessons. And we'll watch some videos of things that James has been working on at home in a plague type scenario, just copying his older brother. On the right-hand side, we can see one of our older Sharks club swimmers, Millie Lofton. Millie is a Singapore national champion for 53. She was a World Cup finalist, and she gets sent to Australia to compete in the Australian age swimming champs with some other swimmers in the school. So we like to think we can cater for all ages and all abilities, and we've got a fair idea of what we're doing. Next slide. So our facility, most of you are probably familiar with the Swim Hub facility, but we might have some new parents. The roof of the pool is 83% UV protected, so we don't need any sunscreen. There's no real direct sunlight hitting the pool. The water temperature this morning was about 29 degrees. We test the water quality 4 times a day, and the turnover of the contents of the pool was about 100 minutes, which is quite fast. So if we have any problems, we can rectify those fairly quickly. And our plant room is really heavily engineered. It's over-engineered, so we can keep on top of the water quality. So we test the pool before anyone enters the pool each day. And we test it of an evening, and we do 2 other measurements during the day just to make sure we've got the best water quality possible. And it's all done digitally, and I'm only aware of one other place that has this quality of water in Singapore. So we're definitely best practice there with our water quality. We also have lightning alerts. So if there's ever any lightning, we evacuate the swimming pool. So we don't take any chances with health and safety.
I might just jump in there, Paul. John, I can see 4 questions there. And the first one is, yes, half-day children will be definitely given a dedicated 1 swim session. They possibly could fall into the 2, depending on when the schedule happens. What do we require in terms of clothing? Definitely swimming togs. Do you prefer a rashie or not, John?
No, rashie's not needed. Maybe a swimming cap can help retain the heat. If you're worried about body temperature, maybe a tight sort of neoprene like rash vest may assist, but I I'd prefer a cap, actually, wearing
Yeah,
swimming caps.
swimming cap definitely keeps your head warm, and also the goggles. And we recommend a poncho towel because that's easy for the children to get out of the pool, put their poncho towel on, go back upstairs and get changed. I know class teachers would be asking you to pack a spare towel because if that towel's wet, then we can dry them up in the classroom with another towel, a dry towel as well. Now, there was a question about level of swimming. No prior level of swimming needs to have occurred. Our swim coaches assess the students at their levels and then group them accordingly to meet their needs. And in terms of it is our preschool 4. So if you're either a cockatoo or a echidna, you'll be swimming this term. If you're a bilby or a platypus, you'll be swimming next term. Is the swim cap mandatory for long hair or optional?
It's recommended that you wear a cap, especially with long hair. When they get more advanced, you don't want the hair going in their eyes and their mouth when they're breathing, and it's better for the filtration of the pool actually as well. So yeah, we do recommend caps.
Hope no swim nappies would be needed because these are 3- and 4-year-olds who are swimming, and they're all toilet learned. We would definitely toilet them before we go to the pool. They're able to get out of the pool and go to the toilet that are poolside should they need to go. So yeah, no swim nappies needed. And if we did have an accident, I know John's filtration system actually works a treat and everything is sterilised and sorted within the hour. They will change in their classrooms, and we do that for safety reasons. We fully believe in having the maximum safety for our children in the pool deck, and I don't want anyone to be distracted in change rooms where children then are able to slip out of change rooms and get access to the pool. So we get changed in a familiar space where we feel comfortable, where the children feel safe in their environment, and we do it respectfully with the children as well. So we'll change up there and then come down. If you're scheduled and you see you're scheduled is the first session of the morning, then we encourage, I know your teachers will ask you to get your child to wear their swimmers to school, so that helps in the change process as well.
Just a little reminder, Rachel, that swimming lessons will occur during the school timings and not after school at this time.
Yes, fantastic. So it's curriculum swimming, so it all happens throughout the day and not outside of school hours.
And sorry.
Yes. Sorry, Aurora. We're reading them as we go too. Thank you for keeping track of us. No swim floats, and I'm sure John will explain about that in the next slide. So we'll keep going with the slides. Keep the questions coming. Thank you so much.
Okay, so this is our basic progression of the skills that we like to teach our young swimmers. And I'd like to stress here that we like you to supplement whatever we do at school and do your own swimming at home or whatever opportunities are available to you. I'd like to stress to keep breathing last. We really want to work on body position and relaxation. We work at the individual's speed. We don't force the students to do anything. So hesitant beginners will do a lot of games with toys and build up confidence submerging. And we build up the skills gradually, and we like to keep breathing last. So, excuse me. So in a moment when we do look at some videos of my youngest boy doing his freestyle, he's not doing any breathing. I'm only just teaching him to breathe now. And you'll see he's very relaxed in the water and horizontal. So we build up their confidence submerging at different depths. At first, we have a 1/2 metre depth that we pick up little toy rings off and build houses for seals and that type of thing. Play some nice little games there to build up their confidence. And then we've got our next depth is 3/4 of a metre. We build up confidence at that depth. And eventually, as they move through the groups, we go to the deeper end, which is 1.1 metres. So once the swimmers are comfortable at submerging and picking up objects at 1/2 metre depth, we then start putting them on their backs and teaching them to float on their back. As Rachel alluded to, we don't use any buoyancy devices. We don't believe in bubbles or anything like that. We think it's very important for the swimmers to learn their own buoyancy. And even in our water babies class, we teach the students to start holding on to mum or dad's polo shirt and have that contact with the parent, but get used to their own buoyancy at a very young age. And then we just build up that skill. So we teach them to float on their back. It's a lot of head down, bottom up. That's probably 90% of our lessons, really. And then once they're confident with number 1 and number 2, we can move on to number 3, streamline kicking. So this is the streamline position, kicking in a nice horizontal position with good alignment. And when they master that skill, we can introduce the arms. And then once we've got some continuous arms going and continuous kick and nice relaxation there, we'll introduce breathing last. So most of our students won't be ready for breathing, apart from maybe some survival skills. So our belief is if you try and teach a skill towards the bottom of that list too early, you're wasting your time in ingraining poor technique. This morning I was working with a young lady in Year 12 at 5:30 this morning, and I was working on her breathing technique because she's obviously been pushed through with her breathing at a young age too early and doesn't have that relaxation. So if you are doing any swimming at home, please leave the breathing to last and work on body position and relaxation.
So one other question that's just popped up is, will children get showered? Yes, once children are out of the pool, they go under the showers to rinse off the chlorine off their body, and then they put their poncho towel on, dry off down here. We go back up to the classroom, dry off thoroughly in the classroom and get them dressed again. And quite often they're hungry straight after swimming, so we're looking for food then. Coming back to the swim cap for long hair, just having long hair myself and swimming, the swim cap does keep my hair out of my goggles, which does get a little bit pulley. So it is good to have that cap on, and it definitely does keep the heat in. So thank you.
We can go to the barbers and just shave it all off.
Yeah, no, not ready for that yet.
Maybe not. Okay, so our next slide, we've got a bit more detail here of our progression through the swim school. So our hesitant beginners, they're doing basic skills. As I said earlier, we work at their own pace. It's exploratory. We're trying to build up their confidence, so we won't be forcing them to do anything that they don't want to do. So there's a lot of pouring water over heads, and as I said earlier, trying to submerge and pick up toys off shallow depths. And then when they progress on their first lesson, we assess all the students and try and put them in a class with students of a similar ability. So our next level tadpoles, we're starting to work on that streamline push and glide that I demonstrated earlier, and do some floating on their front and then rolling over on their back, and developing some of the skills that they'll need if they're ever in a situation where they're trying to save themselves.
Okay, so I can see a couple more questions there. We don't recommend slides or thongs for going to and from the pool. With wet feet, they become a trip hazard. It's straight into the lift and back up to the classroom. If you have a specific preference, then talk to your teacher about that. We understand that some children do have specific reasons why they wear shoes in our school. The other question was, the class teachers will share with you the schedule, and you will get that prior to when swimming will start in week 7. We're currently in week 5. So next week, the P4 teachers will publish the swimming schedule and share it with you. And there's the question about CCAs, extra lessons after school hours. So John and I have been racking our brains as to how we can make swimming happen, CCAs happen after schools. We're not there yet. Because of the restriction of only 8 children in the pool at a time, not cross-mixing classes, all of those levels. And since we've just sort of reverted back a little bit from where we were progressing because of the phase 2 that we've been put back under, and CPE has released their 34th recommendations for us, and we're just going through those. Hopefully we will find a way for next term. hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll let you know as soon as we know when we're able to get swimming up and running again on site in the ELV after school hours. That's a good question, John. Will children stay in their assigned groups, or will they be moved into groups based on their abilities?
We'll try and keep students in their same group. We do have a lot of prior knowledge of the swimming abilities of the students, especially students that have been here for quite some time. Obviously, ability may have changed over the last year or so, but the staff are reading through the lists and trying to group them to like standards. We've got good records of where the swimmers were when COVID hit, so that will be looked at. But yeah, we'll try and keep them in the same group.
It is possible we might have some movement, which the teachers will update you for the following week. So our first week, we'll do our best to have them grouped accordingly, and then we'll make adjustments for the second week and let you know. And yes, I can share a PDF of the slides. We can put that out. I know we'll get that out to you. Would it help obtaining an opt-in, opt-out experience? Yes, definitely. That would definitely help if we could have an opt-in or opt-out idea of who would definitely want to be swimming, because that will open up different spaces for those swim lessons as well. Thank you for offering to do that, Deli. I'll work with the multi-classroom leaders to make contact with parent reps. Thank you.
Moving through our progression of the levels. So the first three are basically working mainly on that body position and relaxation, and the last two we're using the arms a little bit more. So goldfish, there's a lot more kicking and starting to do some freestyle. And then our last group, penguins, they're the students that can do freestyle, can do backstroke, are starting to breathe to the side, but don't think we're going to have many of them yet. So as we move to our videos, I'm about to show you 3 short clips of my youngest son, James. These are filmed a few months ago, so he's probably about 3 years, 9 months in the video. First video we're looking at is back kick. So this is one of the skills we're trying to develop. Is by no means perfect, but we'll have a quick look at the video now so you get an idea. So he's getting to the stage now. So yeah, James is getting to the stage now where he can start to save himself and buy some time. If for some strange reason I'm not in an arm's reach, I can get there pretty quickly and assist him. But you can see there that he has a fairly good body position. He's got his head back. He's got some propulsion going. He can work on his hip position and his kick a little bit more, but the basics are starting to get there. Okay, well, the next video we'll show is James floating on his front. He's very relaxed. You'll see he's got his head right down. He's got his backside and his legs up, and he could float in that position face down all day. What he's developing from that position, once the students get their confidence in that position, we then work on rotating them. So if they are swimming and they are out of arm's reach from someone, we want to build up that survival reflex of rotating onto their back and relaxing and breathing and resting on their back. A lot of them, even James, sometimes if they get in a bit of a panic, they'll start climbing the ladder and be vertical, which doesn't last too long. So we want to build up that reflex of rolling over on on their back. So we'll show that short video of James. He's just on his front. I think he rotates, but he doesn't float on his back in this video. So you can see there that he looks, pretty relaxed and he's comfortable in the water and he's having fun, and pretty good foundation there to teach him how to swim properly in the next month or so. And our final slide, we're going to look at some real basic freestyle without any breathing yet. So, yeah, we want to get them horizontal. We want to keep that relaxed body position, work on developing their kick, and then introduce the arms. And then once we get the arms continuous and the kick continuous, and it's all looking, we've mastered those skills, then we add the breathing later. So if your child is at a weaker level than what we're about to watch, I encourage you not to do any breathing yet and really reinforce that body position. Yeah, so by no means perfect freestyle, but again, a really good foundation, getting some propulsion there. He can swim 10 meters without a breath. Now he's starting to get to that level where we can start teaching him to breathe, but maintain that body position.
So, John, there's another question here about the instructors and swimming teachers on site of having CPR and first aid experience.
Yep, so all our instructors have both local and Australian units of competency. So I'm an international lifeguard. I can deliver Australian units of competency. There's a number of us that are actually international lifeguards. Everyone's got their Royal Life Award. We've all got our Life Saving 123, which is the Singapore Life Saving Society Award. And this week and next week, we're actually doing a refresher. So we're doing the bronze units of competency, so basic rescues. And we're also doing the using oxygen in an emergency situation, using the AED and the oxygen. So we've got our own oxygen equipment on site. AED is not very far away. And we do have lifeguards hovering over each class of 4. So we've got 2 groups of 4 in the pool, the instructor in the water at arm's distance, roughly, and we've got a lifeguard assigned to each group of 4. So, yeah, we're best practice. Don't worry about that. I've also got surf life-saving certs as well. So,
yeah, fantastic. And our nurses are on this level as well, and all of our teachers all do CPR and first aid training and are current certificate holders in first aid and CPR. There's a question here, John, about a child being very confident with swimming with a ring, jumps in and out of the water. Is there anything that mum can do to prepare her for school swim lessons without the ring?
Yeah, if you have a kickboard, a good one would be holding the kickboard about, say, the bottom third of the board with the thumbs, where's my camera? Thumbs on top of the board, and then getting into that streamline-like position and having your ears, or having the child's ears under their arms and chin on the chest. So if you think they're up to this stage, just pushing off and practicing being in that horizontal body position. Basically head down, bum up. So a lot of that on the surface would be fantastic, because we're going to be doing a lot. Once they're comfortable submerging, then we want to teach them body position on the surface, and we won't really be doing most of our lesson underwater. So that's a good one. And then if they can do that for, say, 5 meters confidently, then you can try it without the board and do it in a streamlined position, face down. And you can also try these skills on the back. So on the back, maybe hugging a kickboard, floating without a kickboard, kicking on your back with your arm by your side, like we saw James earlier. And then the real advanced ones can try kicking on their back streamlined. But again, we mightn't have many students up at that level yet.
And they won't need to bring any equipment like kickboards or anything like that, because that's all supplied by the Swim Hub team. And definitely either the teacher assistant from the class or the class teacher will remain at the pool because they need to feel confident with the people who are looking after them. So we always have that familiar face poolside as well. So that's another person who is also another pair of eyes. And it also means that if a child should need to go to the toilet, it's not going to take away from A, the swimming lesson, or B, the dedicated lifeguards who are watching the children in the pool. So the teacher assistant will take them to the toilet.
With the equipment too, each child will have their own bucket with their own kickboard and their own toys, so there'll be no sharing because of safe management measures. And then the equipment's cleaned at the end of the lesson, and the next group get their fresh equipment. So we've got the equipment, but there'll be no sharing of equipment.
And there was a question further back, should children have goggles? I would recommend it. It protects their eyes, gets them into good swim habits when they're progressing in their swim development. I'm sure John would agree with that as well. Yeah,
the human eye, the pH is roughly 7.4, maybe 7.3, depending on the time of day. So we try and keep our pH to roughly 7.4. It does fluctuate sometimes. If it's ever below 7.2 or higher than 7.8, we shut the pool. We don't take any chances. Having said all that, I'd be wearing goggles.
Well, we've come to pretty much the end of our presentation, and thank you so much for your questions that have been coming. We'll stay on here for a little bit longer should there be any more questions, that last-minute questions that you wanted to ask. As I said, we'll share the PDF of the slides, make that available to all parents, and I know we'll upload the recording of this session as well if other parents missed out on viewing this today. Thank you so much for taking the time. And yes, I'll reach out to class reps to actually gather the information if parents are opting in or out. I'm hopeful that not many parents will opt out, that they will see that this is a very worthwhile and a very safe practices that we have in place for our children to get back in the pool. I know we have some very excited little swimmers because they've been walking past the pool every day. When can we swim? So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything keeps going in the right direction for us. Thank you for your time this morning. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Rachel.
Okay, great question about eczema. Definitely would be allowed to participate. It just depends on, from your end, knowing your child and the impact that chlorine could possibly have on eczema. John, did you have any concerns about eczema?
I used to have eczema as a child now, so yeah, I'm thinking back. It's not a common problem I see around the pool. I've been around pools in a professional capacity for 27 years and swam for years and years before that. Yeah, I know swimming's good for asthma. It's usually the same gene. Asthma and eczema go hand in hand. At chlorine levels in Singapore, it's you've got to keep the pool between 1 part and 3 parts per million. In Australia, a lot of pools go up to 5 parts per million. So what I'm getting at is the chlorine levels aren't too high. I don't think they're going to irritate the skin. And maybe speak to a specialist, but I'd be surprised if our pool presents a problem.
And in terms of what are our swimming instructors wearing on their face?
Yeah, they have to wear a shield. Some of them like to wear a mask as well, but the masks get wet. They're probably healthier to wear a shield. So they've all got face masks.
Our children definitely not.
I saw a question there about AIS. Do AIS run similar accreditation to Australian schools? I'm an ASTA, Australian Swimming Coaches and Teachers Association / Swim Australia presenter. We're very closely linked to what's happening in Australia. our progression of skills. That's yeah, we're very influenced in what happens in Australia. I coached there for 20 years before I moved to Singapore. I've been here 6 years now. When we opened our facility, Laurie Lawrence came to visit and gave our staff some training.
Do the 5.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, we've got access to Laurie Lawrence resources. So we're very familiar with what's happening in Australia and very closely linked. And we have the Australian units of competency. So maybe when things open up again and we return to something that's a little bit more like normal, maybe if there's some parents or older students that are interested in becoming swimming teachers themselves, I might have the opportunity to offer those courses to parents that are interested in becoming teachers or coaches.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We might end our session there. If you do think of a question you want to know, please just email me or reach out to me on level 1 and we'll get back to you straight away. Thank you for this morning and we look forward to swimming very soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Arami.
Thanks, guys.